Good afternoon. We are product consultants from the Boston Consulting Group, and we're here to present to you today about marketing tactics at Coca-Cola Company. I am Lauren McCarthy.
My name is Juliana Biolsi.
And I'm Cassandra Medeiros. So let's go through the agenda for today. So we're going to talk about Coca-Cola, which I'm sure you're very familiar with as management, as well as the importance of advertising, long-term goals for Coca-Cola, the vitamin water label itself, and then we're going to get into the case overall of vitamin water, going through the legal, ethical, and financial implications, as well as our recommendation from BCG, and also some closing remarks, and then open it up for Q&A with you. So, Coca-Cola. So as I just mentioned, you know exactly who you are as the managers of the firm. Overall, you were established in 1886. You are on the NASDAQ with the ticker KO. You are sold in 200 countries all over the world. Your four main products out of the total of over 3,500 brands in your portfolio are Diet Coke, Coca-Cola, Sprite, and Fanta. You have 49 years of increased dividends, which is amazing, and clearly you're keeping your shareholders happy. And you have 800 low to no calorie drinks. So let's dive into the mission and values of the company that we wanted to highlight, and then we'll go further into the mission and values as we get into the presentation, and we just wanted to highlight them right now. So the three main statements of Coca-Cola's mission are to refresh the world, to create value and make a difference, and to inspire moments of optimism and happiness. The values of Coca-Cola are leadership, collaboration, integrity, accountability, passion, diversity, and quality. Now, as we've studied the vitamin water case in your company overall, we believe that there might be some areas that could be tweaked a little bit and kind of bringing yourselves back to the overall mission and values of the company, including leadership, integrity, accountability, and quality.
So moving on to your code of business conduct, which is highlighted on your website, is the sole purpose of it is to guide your employees to do the right thing and to act the right way across all operating segments around the world. So this is a global document that is required to be read and signed by your employees. So we just wanted to emphasize a couple of quotes that we took. Two by Mr. Kent, the CEO, in an opening letter, emphasizing that your reputation is enhanced by a rich culture of integrity and ethical conduct. Also stating that acting with integrity is more than and beyond just your company's image and reputation. And as we dove through the actual policy itself, two specific statements that are pertinent to our case are: do not engage in unfair, deceptive, or misleading practices, and always present company products in an honest and forthright manner. So taking into account those statements, we also extracted this image, which was on the forefront, the cover of the actual code. So before you even get to the letter from Mr. Kent, or you actually get into the policy, these 5 statements are clearly pictured solely on a page, and they are: act with integrity, be honest, follow the law, comply with the code, and be accountable. So these 5 statements are clearly at the core of all the mission and values, and are clearly impressed upon employees on what to live by and when they're how they're choosing to act and what they're actually choosing to do. So again, these 5 statements we'll be referring to over the course of the presentation because we aren't sure how consistent the actions are with what you present to your employees. So now I just want to talk quickly about the importance of marketing and advertising to a company. So clearly this is what drives business. So starting in the form of commercials, sponsorships of different events and teams, and ultimately in advertisements across all different forms of media. The goal is to increase consumer awareness and preference for the brand. And obviously Coca-Cola is such a global corporation, they have a tremendous amount of money to expend on these sources. And finally, the ultimate sole goal is to increase market share. The beverage industry is extremely competitive, so this is really important to increase sales and to increase profits. One of Coca-Cola's long-term initiatives is going along with consumer trends in a shift toward a more active and healthy lifestyle. We've seen over recent years this is extremely important to brand preference. Part of the Live Positively initiative are 7 different categories that we find are disrupted in the deceptive marketing tactics that you're choosing to use. 2 of which we've highlighted are beverage benefits, which is by the end of this year, 2011, to have the number of calories per serving of the beverage clearly indicated on the front. So this would help consumers know exactly what they're intaking when they approach the cooler to actually choose a healthy alternative beverage. And second, active healthy living. So this is that you guys are hoping to collaborate with the Healthy Weight Commitment Foundation to reduce the total annual calories consumed in the U.S. So taken all together, these 7 concepts, and specifically these 2, we think are violated or disrupted when we look deeper at the actual advertisements that you choose to use on your vitamin water product. So next we look specifically at where there is confusion by the consumer. So as required by law, you are to include the ingredients and the nutrition facts on any product that is sold in the market. So here we took the ingredients, and as you can see, the first 2 ingredients are water and crystalline fructose cane sugar. So again, as a product that's called vitamin water, you'd think the first 2 ingredients would be vitamins and water, when in reality it is water, but instead sugar. Also on the ingredients, you see that there is less than 0.5% of all the vitamins that are advertised to be in the product. So there is vitamin B, vitamin B3, B5, B6. As you can see, there's quite a few that are less than 0.5% of the actual product. And then when we look on the right, on the nutrition facts, which are sometimes not even looked at by consumers, we see there are 13 grams of sugar in 1 serving, and there are 4 servings per container, which means that there are 52 grams of total sugar in 1 bottle of vitamin water. So again, this is quite a high sugar content for a product that's considered a healthy alternative beverage, and that is titled vitamin water, implying a healthy advantage. And then we looked specifically at your focus flavor. This is a kiwi strawberry brand, and on the back of the label, we magnified it over on the left. There's a statement that says vitamins plus water is all you need. And I think we would all agree that that statement is true. However, what the actual product that it's featured on isn't just vitamins and water. So we see this as deceiving the consumer in terms of what they're actually seeing, in terms of what they're actually reading, to what's actually in the product itself. So we just wanted to highlight this is just one example of how the product labels of the vitamin water packaging may be indeed deceiving. And then we looked at the actual false advertisements, potentially false advertisements that are pervasive throughout the media that our consumers have brought to our attention. So if you see on the left, there's a cup that's almost overflowing with an assortment of vitamins, and the statement says it doesn't have to be this complicated. So implying that this cup of water is overflowing, all you have to do is drink vitamin water and it will be easy. It's not too complicated. You don't have to take 50 to 100 different pills to actually get what you're looking for, and just to drink vitamin water. If you look on the bottom right, there's 3 different flavors featured, and the statements are more muscles than Brussels, drink at the first crack of dawn, keep perky when you're feeling murky. And the use of colors here further enhances the different statements that vitamin water will give you: more muscles, you won't be as tired, or you'll be more alert when you drink this product. And finally, most importantly, which has gotten probably the most attention, is the advertisement that's on the top right, with the statement that flu shots are so last year. And at the bottom it says more vitamin C, more immunity, more snotty tissues. So again, creative language, but the ultimate takeaway from that is that these vitamin water products will fend away the cold, take the place of a flu shot. You don't need to drink the flu shot, simply drink this product. So taken all together with a lot of feedback from consumers, these are just a few of the false advertisements that we see used by you all in advertising vitamin water.
Now, taking the legal aspect to the case, we'll see if Coca-Cola has abided by the rules and regulations that involve advertising and labeling of foods. To start off, we have the Federal Trade Commission, which deals with the actual advertising of products and services. Under the Federal Trade Commission, we have the Federal Trade Act. And within this act, it is stated that advertising must be truthful and non-deceptive. And there is a deceptive policy underneath this act, stating that an advertisement that omits information or states information is likely to mislead consumers or if the material is important to consumers and it is effective to their decision to buy the product. Also under this act, there's also the advertisements must have evidence to back up a claim. So statements that are advertised on their product must have proof that what is being stated is true. Lastly, these advertisements cannot be unfair, saying that something cannot be said in order to win over consumers from a competitive company. Under Section 5 and Section 12 of this act is say that there's prohibitive use of deception practices in or affecting commerce, as well as inducing the consumer to purchase the product. Now, taking a look at the Federal Food and Drug Administration, this federal agency deals with a food or product actual labeling on the product. And under this, there is the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. This protects the health of consumers, the public, ensuring that the food is being labeled properly. If it's not, it would be deemed misbranded. Also, there's the jelly bean rule. Under the jelly bean rule, this is the FDA's fortification policy. A product or a food cannot be considered a junk food or unhealthy and fortified just for the ability to be deemed a healthy product. So that they can't just add nutrients to make it deemed a healthy product. The FDA and health claims, the FDA allows only health claims to be said about a product if it is backed by scientific evidence. And finally, state laws. Every state has consumer protection laws that govern what can and cannot be said in advertisements as well as labeling. Now, diving deeper into the case, we have in 2007, it all began with Coca-Cola's acquisition of Glacier Vitamin Water for approximately $4.1 billion. At that time, Coca-Cola did not actually change the formula of the product, but they did change the marketing tactics, which we will see on the next few slides. Unfortunately, in 2010, the Center for Science and Public Interest, a consumer advocacy group, compiled 3 lawsuits from New York, New Jersey, and California, stating that the advertisements and labeling used by Coca-Cola was misleading and deceiving of consumers. Interestingly, in 2009, the National Advertising Division of the Council of Better Business Bureau reported 82 formal false advertising complaints. So clearly, Coca-Cola is not the only one that is being targeted here. In 2010, Judge John Gleason denied Coca-Cola's request of dismissal of the case. And this year, Coca-Cola agreed to enter mediation with the consumer advocacy group, CSPI, which is expected to occur later this month or next month. Now, taking a look at Coca-Cola's advertising from before Coca-Cola purchased Glacier, when it did, and today, we see that in the beginning, Coca-Cola on your left-hand corner, before Coca-Cola acquired this company, the advertisements were pretty simple, fun, just showing what the product for what it was. And then in 2007, when Coca-Cola acquired and purchased Glacier Vitamin Water, they used hip-hop star 50 Cent as the face of the water, demonstrating that they're trying to stay with the cultural trends in society at the time. Now today, where we are running into the issue that we're in today, you see that Coca-Cola is using more messages in order to induce the consumers to purchase and consume this product, such as we mentioned before, flu shots or so last year, possibly misleading consumers. Now, Coke's strategic response to this case might not have been the best, which we're here to help you with. Coca-Cola has stated that the claims that are being made against them with vitamin water no consumer could reasonably be misled into thinking vitamin water was a healthy beverage. The statements and labels of vitamin water simply sales puffery. We believe plaintiffs' claims are without merit and will be rejected. Coca-Cola might have responded in the best approach, considering that consumers themselves, reasonable consumers, would say that they were actually misleading. And the plaintiff of the case, on the next slide, would be that James Cola said that he wouldn't have purchased vitamin water knowing that the amount of calories and sugar are actually within this product. In addition, the American Heart Association recommends that a female not consume more than 25 grams of sugar and 37.5 grams from a male. If they were to consume the bottle that we previously showed in the other slides, 4 servings times the 13 would give 52 grams of sugar if a human being was to consume that entire product. Next up, possible results of the case. Even though there isn't much that can be done considering that there is going to be mediation, possible results can include ceasing and desisting of deceptive practices in advertisement. If Coca-Cola does not fail to do this, they might possibly have to face a $16,000 fine per day per ad. In addition, consumer penalties and redress refunds can be paid for those who actually consume the product. Corrective advertisements and disclosures which can negatively affect their reputation and also would have to be in their financial statements, which would be a negative connotation on Coca-Cola. And they could possibly even be the change in name, considering vitamin water. We mentioned before there are a lot more than just vitamin water inside of the product. However, Coca-Cola is not alone, as we mentioned before. With the economy being tough and companies trying to use any way that they can, advertising is a great mechanism to win over consumers and show them the products that they have. Unfortunately, from 2006 to 2009, as we can see in this graph, there has been an increasing number of false advertising cases that have occurred, including 82 as of 2009. So Coca-Cola should use this as a learning experience and also to demonstrate to other companies that if they act properly, then they could be positive incomes and positive outcomes in the case. Two relevant cases include Activia. In 2009 was sued for exaggeration of health benefits that did not exist by consuming their product of yogurt. $100 per consumer had to be paid. More recently, we have a case of New Balance that was sued for saying their toning walking shoes burn more calories and improved health. And the plaintiffs in this case are seeking $5 million in compensation. So Coca-Cola should act progressively and appropriately to the case that they have on hand. And that's what we're here to help you with.
So before we get into the ethical and financial implications of the case, we just wanted to reiterate why we see this as extremely important for you, and more importantly, why we're here and how we can help you going forward. So ethically, taking a proactive stance in this case and in general across all over the world on all of your products is the right thing to do. Financially and economically, there's absolutely no downside to actively approaching this case, acknowledging consumers, and moving forward in the right direction. And altogether, we see this as helping you increase value to your investors, maintaining your market-leading position, and again, enhancing your positive image and brand loyalty to consumers. So altogether, there's absolutely no downside to this, acting this way, and we see this as a great opportunity for you to set an example in the marketplace and around the world, and you could use this in any other cases that you face going forward. So when we started discussing ethics between our group, we really found it boiling down to two central questions. First, does the product name reflect the nature of the brand? Is a product called vitamin water that may not only have in it vitamins and water, an accurate representation of what the product actually is? And did you knowingly market the product as something different? As in those ads, for instance, was that exactly showing that this is a healthy alternative beverage? Is it unreasonable for a consumer to walk into a grocery store or a deli and approach a cooler looking for an alternative to water, to choose vitamin water, and then be loaded with all that additional sugar that isn't exactly portrayed or advertised in the media? And finally, is it okay for a large corporation that is so global and so well known with such a strong tradition of excellence, is it okay for you to just dismiss it to the side and not acknowledge the consumer's health, which actually drives your business? It's all about the consumer's preference and ability to want your brand and your products. So when we took a step back, we together agreed that the advertising tactics and marketing strategies that were exhibited in this instance and going forward were a violation of your mission, values, and code of business conduct, which are so prevalently emphasized to your employees and on your website and in all that you do around the world. So then we looked at who actually will be impacted, and right away we knew it was the stakeholders. So we categorized them into three main groups. So first we have you all, Coca-Cola management, who we understand holds a huge stake in the company. And with that huge stake comes a lot of responsibility. So it's on you to manage the reputation of your company. And with that, in this instance, is a risk because of how much negative publicity you are receiving. But we do see that you are reliable for picking this up and making the change to a more positive public image. Next, we have institutional investors, and these are hedge funds and pension funds and mutual funds all around the world that really rely on Coca-Cola as a solid investment strategy. And ultimately, this will be impacted by the way that you choose to act, in that they're looking for their company as an investment. As Lauren mentioned earlier, you have 49 consecutive years of dividends. Not many companies can say that, so we give you a lot of credit for that. But again, this perception may be altered as a result of how this case ends up, how you handle it, and how the reputation is going forward. And finally, individual shareholders and consumers. So just the average person who's looking for an appropriate investment, appropriate bet for their money, and more importantly, consumers who actually were the ones who are going out and buying the product day in and day out. So brand loyalty, there are millions of people around the world who are born and raised Coke, a Coke family. I drink everything that they have to offer. And this is ultimately what drives your business, but it can be impacted with how this case is handled. And finally, the quality of goods. So if vitamin water is what's actually publicly being recognized for maybe not containing what it says it is, who knows what other products are having similar issues in your brand portfolio, which is obviously very diverse and all over the world. So those two things may also be questioned, which would be incrementally negative for the company.
So now I'm going to dive into the financial implications of the case. So overall, we believe that the cost of the litigation and legal fees and everything isn't going to significantly impact Coca-Cola, considering you're such a large corporation. However, we believe that reputation, competitive marketplace, as well as the alternative water segment is a significant aspect that needs to be addressed. So in terms of reputation, there's goodwill impairment. So when financially, goodwill is the reputational way of the measurement for reputation. In 2007, when Coca-Cola purchased Vitamin Water, they purchased it for $4.1 billion, and $2 billion of that $4.1 billion is attributed to goodwill. As a result of this case, and in terms of the overall value of reassessing the value of vitamin water, Coca-Cola might take a goodwill impairment, which will result in the balance sheet being negatively impacted on their financial statements. And then tying into the brand reputation. So as Jules mentioned before, there's several consumers that are always interested or always purchasing the Coca-Cola product. However, if they don't know what exactly is going into that product because of deceptive labeling, then they may turn to a different company, and that ties into the competitive marketplace. The bottling industry is significantly competitive, and Coca-Cola and Pepsi are always trying to get that top number one seed. As a result of this case, consumers may be more inclined to go towards the Pepsi products, which could result in Coca-Cola taking the second place seat there. And then in terms of the alternative water segment of the bottling industry, it's significantly rising. It's a growing industry over the growing portion of the industry. In fact, in 2010, 22% of the overall value of the bottled water industry is attributed to the alternative water segment. So Coca-Cola could be impairing their chances of taking advantage of the alternative water segment of the industry with the vitamin water product. So as we look at this map, you can see it's beyond the United States. So vitamin water, the litigation we have focused on is only in the United States. However, there have been, in 2011, 2 other cases in the UK as well as Canada where consumers have believed that the vitamin water product has misleading labeling. Now, overall, this goes beyond vitamin water itself. Coca-Cola has been under several litigations as a large corporation for their potential hindering of water in third world countries, as well as how they treat their workers. So this may go, it's all about going back to the values of the company and ties back to that. So overall recommendations for the case, we believe that Coca-Cola should try to change the marketing content of the vitamin water product. And they need to be more responsive and take responsibility for their actions. As Cassandra mentioned before, they weren't exactly responsive to the case to begin with. So we believe that it would be good to be more responsive and take action from the beginning. And also changing the tone. It's all about the tone. As a company that is selling products to the consumer, it's all about how you market that product and how you're bringing it to the consumer. So if you change that tone and bring all of these together, then you can restore consistency with the mission and values of your company. So looking at everything that's been on paper and bringing it to life. And we just wanted to circle back to the Code of Business Conduct. And as you can see, the 5 highlights are: act with integrity, be honest, follow the law, comply with the code, and be accountable. We'd like you to try to look at this and reinforce it and bring it back to all of your products in the way you market them and overall how you operate your company. So on behalf of BCG, we thank you for your time today, and we'd like to open it up for some Q&A.